The other story is that Maxx Crosby is reportedly, according to Jay Glazer, Jay's been on a heater, is done with the Raiders. So this is actually, the Raiders, this actually is not terrible for the Raiders because Maxx Crosby has not translated into success, right? Like they haven't had the right coach and the right quarterback, and I think they now have both. But Max is going to get you an absolute haul. Really good teams that probably could talk themselves into winning a Super Bowl with Max, New England, the Bears, and the Ravens, all could use Maxx Crosby. Okay, the Patriots could use him. The Ravens could use him. The Bears could absolutely use him. I could absolutely see in all three teams giving up a first-round pick or more. And here's the thing. Micah Parsons, 5-star recruit, goes to big brand Penn State, first-round pick, goes to the Cowboys, is viewed one way. But to me, he's a splash player who disappears against the run and has been overwhelmed by really elite left tackles in the postseason. Maxx Crosby goes to Eastern Michigan, 4th-round pick, goes to the lowly Raiders. For a long time, he's viewed another way. To me, Maxx Crosby's the better player. Maxx Crosby's much better against the run. Maxx Crosby is not a splash player. Maxx Crosby is a relentless dog, very much like Aiden Hutchinson or a Myles Garrett. He just doesn't take plays off. So, and Mike is good. I'm not saying that, but I always felt, and I've had GMs tell me this, Micah is a splash player. He makes very memorable plays, and he's very good. And Green Bay's defense was not as good when he got injured. I'm not saying Mike is not a first-round talent, but Crosby is better against the run. I think you get a more consistent effort. So if the Raiders do move off him, they're going to get a haul. A haul. When I talk to executives around this league, and I say, like, who do you think is a guy who's a great player? Take out quarterbacks. And I've asked this question before. Take out quarterbacks. Give me 3 guys in the league you'd die to have. Like, without question, Maxx Crosby gets named. Here was Jay Glazer this week on his future.
There's a couple guys. If they tell you they're playing, they're playing. It's not open for discussion. They're playing. There's certain guys, they need it.
Do you think you think his time with the Raiders is done?
I do.
Okay. Before the draft?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
What kind of haul do you think, realistically, a Maxx Crosby gets in general?
He, probably more than Micah. So the day it happened, no less than 20 teams called me.
Indeed, you acquire a significant haul of draft picks. And that is unmistakably the primary incentive because, in numerous respects, when you part ways with a player of Maxx Crosby's caliber, the aspiration is to ultimately select his successor with a high draft choice, correct? The fundamental truth is that this franchise necessitates a comprehensive reconstruction. Consequently, you introduce a new head coach, you possess a first-year quarterback on an economical rookie contract, and you naturally desire to capitalize on that favorable financial situation. The entire objective is to construct a roster capable of contending at the highest possible level during the period when your potential superstar quarterback commands the most minimal salary against the salary cap. We are all cognizant of this principle. That trajectory represents a proven avenue to championship contention. Therefore, on one hand, one could reasonably inquire, but if that's the case, then why would we contemplate moving on from Maxx Crosby? The rationale is that the resources and flexibility you would generate through such a transaction can dramatically accelerate the timeline, can hasten this rebuilding phase. It positions the organization in a substantially more advantageous situation to cultivate a genuinely elite offensive line, as opposed to merely a very competent one. It enables the development of a truly elite defensive backfield, rather than just a solid secondary, and so forth. It fundamentally permits the construction of a more, what is the precise term I'm searching for here? I'm momentarily at a loss for the exact phrasing, but it essentially situates you to achieve a far superior equilibrium. I believe that is actually the conceptual framework I intend to convey. The Las Vegas Raiders have suffered from a lack of balance for a multitude of reasons over an extended period. You have already begun charting the course forward in terms of establishing a foundation for a team that can ultimately achieve greatness, through new coaching, a rookie quarterback, and even through draft selections from the previous cycle, such as a prospect like Brock Bowers. You now possess a nascent core element upon which to build. If you execute a trade for a substantial package of draft assets, you secure the foundational capital and are genuinely poised to execute transformative maneuvers. Subsequently, by the second season, this strategy also places you in an exceptionally favorable position as head coach Antonio Pierce and quarterback J.J. McCarthy enter that subsequent offseason. You would still be operating with considerable salary cap space, a wealth of draft selections, and similar resources. In many ways, you would then be empowered to make strategic moves analogous to what we witnessed with, for instance, the Chicago Bears this past season, immediately upon securing Ben Johnson as head coach. They possessed excellent draft capital and were able to be assertive both in the draft and in acquiring available veteran talent. They succeeded in assembling a far more complete, well-rounded roster, a significantly more holistic team, and they engineered a complete turnaround. Thus, I simply believe that pursuing this path provides you with a much broader and more forgiving developmental runway. It furthermore allows you to cultivate and develop this new foundational core for the team in an organic manner. In contrast, retaining Maxx Crosby would be tremendously beneficial for the Raiders, and he could remain a dominant force if the team were merely a single proficient quarterback away from genuine contention. If that were the sole missing component. If the situation were, well, now that we have McCarthy, by his second season, he will be performing exceptionally. We'll afford him some leeway in year one, but by year two. The reality is, you still require considerable additional reinforcement across the roster. Therefore, I ultimately perceive this potential trade as representing a significant net positive outcome. You would be positioned to obtain a considerable return in a trade. You would generate immense league-wide interest, potentially instigating a bidding war in a manner that perhaps did not materialize for a player like Micah Parsons, more due to the specific circumstances and how that entire scenario unfolded with Jerry Jones and the Cowboys' organizational dynamics, rather than any question regarding Parsons' value. Additionally, the stimulating aspect is that if you secure the draft capital prior to the upcoming draft, and this is a point I previously highlighted regarding the Cowboys, if you complete such a trade before the draft commences, and a portion of that capital is allocated to the imminent draft, you accomplish two critical objectives. You select your prospective superstar quarterback, and then you also secure another premium selection, perhaps targeting whichever other position you deem a priority. This enables you to acquire another player who, ideally, can make a relatively immediate impact, or at the very least, be a significant contributor by the following season, year two. It streamlines and accelerates the rebuilding process much more seamlessly. Consequently, I do not view this as a detrimental proposition. I comprehend that Raiders supporters would be disheartened to lose a player of Maxx Crosby's stature. He is a phenomenal talent, a defensive force, and a definitive impact performer. However, you are initiating a new chapter. You are fabricating something anew. I am of the opinion that this course of action could yield immensely positive long-term benefits. It positions the franchise superbly to conduct an outstanding draft in the coming months, and then follow that with another exceptional draft the subsequent year. It sets the stage for consecutive, highly productive draft classes. You would have back-to-back years featuring impactful drafts, coupled with the financial flexibility to make strategic moves in free agency. If the organization simply makes sound decisions, executes shrewd drafts, you can construct an outstanding team. That is the tangible reality. You can assemble an outstanding team. You can build an outstanding team. Thus, this potential strategy aligns very coherently with that 2 to 3 year window I discussed in prior videos, commencing once you have Coach Pierce in place and, obviously, McCarthy under center. So, yes, I honestly perceive this as a positive development. I genuinely do. But those are merely my personal reflections. I would be absolutely delighted to hear your perspectives. What are your thoughts concerning the Las Vegas Raiders and the potential transaction involving Maxx Crosby? I mean, it appears to be virtually a foregone conclusion based on the manner in which these reports and discussions are typically conducted. It seems almost guaranteed. So, it appears to me that his tenure with the Raiders is formally concluded. Please let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment. Therefore, whether you concur with me or dissent, either way, let's engage in some discussions. Let's engage in some debates, but ultimately, let's simply derive some enjoyment from the discourse. And please do consider subscribing to the channel. We are cultivating a phenomenal community here, and I would absolutely cherish seeing you as part of it. I aspire to build something to which we all feel a genuine connection, something we are truly enthusiastic about being involved in. I believe we are substantially progressing toward that objective. Please do not forget to approve this video with a like, as it genuinely assists with visibility and the platform's algorithm. Thank you so very much.